Hello, back again on the Top Recap channel. This time I will tell a movie's entitled Rambo 1 First Blood. Let's get straight into the storyline. The story begins by showing a former Vietnam War veteran named John Rambo. Rambo is seen walking down the streets of a small village in search of his old friend's house when he served in Vietnam. There, Rambo meets a woman and asks about his friend Delmare's whereabouts. The question surprised the lady, and she told her son to go inside the house. Rambo continues to ask while offering the address and his photo with Delmare so that the mother believes he is not lying. Finally, the mother tells him that Delmare is currently gone. Rambo, who asked where Delmare went, was then explained by the mother that Delmare had died of cancer suffered after returning from duty in Vietnam. Hearing that fact shocked Rambo, and he also gave a photo of their memories to the mother and left there with deep sadness. In the middle of a directionless journey, Rambo suddenly feels hungry, and he enters a small village to buy food. After that, the scene moves to a sheriff in the village named Will Teasel. There, Will is about to carry out his duties patrolling the village. But just as he steps down from the stairs, it is noticed that Will is very famous, and he is always greeted by the residents who pass by. Back to Rambo, walking down the village street while reflecting on his memories with Delmare. Not long after, Will asks where Rambo is going because he feels he doesn't know Rambo in this village. Rambo is still sad and does not take Will's words seriously. An annoyed Will then forced Rambo to get into the car because he would take him somewhere. In the car, Rambo asks why Will was arrogant when he only entered the village to buy food. Will said that he didn't like Rambo's disrespectful attitude towards him. Moreover, he didn't like homeless people who entered the village to cause trouble. Rambo, who was accused of being a homeless man, remained silent. After arriving at the end of the road, Will dropped Rambo off and told him to get a haircut and shower so he wouldn't smell. When Rambo realized he was being escorted out of the village, he became annoyed because Will only judged a book by its cover. Unhappy with Will's treatment, Rambo returned to the village. Will, who saw it from the rearview mirror, turned around again and asked what Rambo wanted. Rambo, who was already angry, did not care about Will, who continued to abuse him with many questions. Annoyed by Rambo's attitude, Will finally went to see Rambo's ID card, but Rambo reflexively resisted and forced Will to search Rambo. If not, he would shoot Rambo. With no other choice, Rambo finally surrenders to being searched, and Will finds a knife that Rambo believes is only for hunting. Will, who does not believe Rambo's words, decides to arrest and bring Rambo to the office for further investigation. Inside the office, Will tells Sheriff Galt to secure Rambo's knife. Hearing Rambo's confession that he used the knife for hunting makes Galt laugh because he does not believe that there are humans who can hunt with only a knife. After that, Galt ordered a young sheriff named Mitch to take Rambo to the interrogation room. When asked about his personal data, Rambo suddenly became pensive, remembering his dark past when he was captured by the Vietnamese army. An annoyed Galt said Rambo was looking for trouble with the right people. He tells Mitch to take Rambo's necklace, and eventually, they discover that Rambo is a former army veteran. Even so, Galt doesn't care about Rambo's background and promises to make Rambo suffer in the cell later. When fingerprints are taken, Rambo again resists, making Galt very upset. Will intervenes and says Rambo will be sentenced to 3 months in prison and fined $250. Firmly, Will tells Galt and Mitch to clean Rambo first because tomorrow he will be tried. Inside the room, Mitch is shocked to see that Rambo's entire body is covered in scars. He advises Galt to report this to Will. However, Galt, who doesn't care, tortures Rambo and gives him a rough bath. When they were done, they planned to forcibly bald Rambo's hair. Getting this kind of treatment, Rambo suddenly remembered his past when he was captured by the Vietnamese military. Rambo, who could not stand it anymore, finally went berserk and beat them all very easily. After they all fell, Rambo then immediately fled from the place. Here, Rambo robs one of the motorbikes to escape. Seeing that, Galt tries to shoot Rambo with a shotgun, but his action is thwarted by Will, considering there are many civilians there. Back to Rambo, who continues to run away at full speed. From behind, Will is chasing him using a patrol car. The slippery road caused by the rain does not make Rambo afraid. He continues to accelerate, causing Will's car to skid. Arriving at the intersection, Rambo cleverly leads Will into the forest. Will, not wanting to lose track of Rambo, forces himself to drive his car through very steep terrain, destroying his vehicle. They arrive at a cliff, where Will finally slips and falls into the river. Meanwhile, Rambo, pushing himself, makes his motorbike fall. Seeing Will continue to hunt him, Rambo continues his escape into the jungle. Arriving somewhere, Rambo finds a former hut and looks for items that could be used. Seeing a cloth, he immediately uses it as a shirt. After his colleagues and Will arrived, Will told them to inform headquarters and request help from sniffer dogs and helicopters. Meanwhile, Rambo continued his escape to the top of the cliff. After the sniffer dogs arrived, Will returned to hunt Rambo with his 4 colleagues. Rambo, who heard the sound of the sniffer dogs, was worried as there was no way ahead of him. Seeing that Will's group was about to arrive, Rambo desperately climbed down the cliff with his bare hands. Not long after, a helicopter arrived, making Rambo panic. Apparently, in the helicopter was Galt, who intended to kill Rambo using an air rifle. Galt constantly shoots at Rambo arrogantly, even threatening to kill the pilot if he talks too much. Not wanting to die silly, Rambo desperately jumped into a tree, but his arm was injured by a sharp branch. Despite being wounded, Galt showed no mercy and continued to shoot at Rambo, who was cornered behind the tree. Fed up, Rambo picked up a rock and threw it at the helicopter, shocking the pilot so much that Galt fell to his death. After the pilot escaped, Rambo immediately took Galt's jacket and rifle. So that his wound would not worsen, Rambo stitched his wound using makeshift tools. Meanwhile, Will's group arrived at the end of the cliff. After looking through binoculars, Will was surprised to see Galt dead. Shortly after, Rambo comes out and intends to surrender. However, out of revenge for Galt's death, Will and his 4 subordinates opened fire on Rambo. Luckily, Rambo managed to dodge and immediately fled into the forest. Will then contacted his colleague Lester. There, Will told Lester to send another helicopter to evacuate Galt's body. Lester, who received instructions, immediately told Will that John Rambo was a green-armored Vietnam War veteran and had received many medals of honor as a war hero. Hearing this, all of Will's subordinates were frightened and told Will to leave the matter to the state police. However, the thuggish Will was angry and promised to catch and kill Rambo that day. Meanwhile, Rambo is seen making a trap from a tree in anticipation of Will's group still hunting him. In the midst of searching for Rambo, they argue with each other due to their fear of his track record, but Will manages to convince them to continue the hunt. Not long after, they found Rambo and immediately released their dogs to catch him. However, Rambo managed to finish off the dogs. Even so, Will stubbornly continued to invite his subordinates to hunt Rambo until he succeeded. In the middle of the dark and lush forest, it was not a problem for Rambo, who was used to the situation. Rambo then ambushed and stabbed one of Will's subordinates, making the others panic with his screams. As they try to escape Rambo's ambush, they don't realize they are dealing with someone dangerous. Rambo manages to take them out quickly and easily, leaving only Will. Rambo quickly ambushes Will with a knife. Rambo, who was very upset, threatened Will not to hunt him anymore. Rambo will not hesitate to give a real war if he is still stubborn. Getting that threat, Will was very scared and promised to stop chasing Rambo. Long story short, Will and his subordinates were evacuated for medical treatment. Not long after, a police captain named Dave arrived. Here, Dave told Will to leave the matter to the police. However, due to his prestige, Will refused as he planned to go back after Rambo with full force. The news spread very quickly. Many journalists came to cover the news about John Rambo. Those who did not know about Rambo's identity thought that Rambo would be caught in a matter of hours. Soon, a colonel named Troutman arrived. Troutman is Rambo's former boss, and he knows Rambo well, as he was the one who trained Rambo to be a killing machine on the battlefield. An arrogant Will hears Troutman say that he doesn't intend to save Rambo from Will's pursuit, but to save Will from Rambo's pursuit. However, Will doesn't care. Troutman then tells Will to consider his decision to hunt down Rambo. Moving on to Rambo, he is seen catching a wild boar for his dinner. Rambo goes inside a former mine to rest while grilling meat. The state police then contacted Rambo using a walkie-talkie, and the state police asked Rambo to surrender. Shortly after, Rambo was surprised to hear the colonel's voice calling him. At first, Rambo was silent, but eventually, he answered the colonel's call. After a long conversation about his time in Vietnam, Troutman asked Rambo to surrender, as he had caused so much trouble. Rambo firmly refuses. According to him, he was not at fault. He just wanted to buy food, but instead was treated harshly and inhumanely. Getting that answer, Will would now use his own way to catch Rambo, as he had found Rambo's location through the previous conversation. Long story short, morning came, and Will now mobilized dozens of troops to hunt Rambo in the forest. However, unexpectedly, it turned out that Rambo was already there watching them. Seeing many police looking for him, Rambo immediately left to secure his position. Amid his escape, Rambo met a boy who was hunting. Rambo immediately ambushed and wanted to kill him, but after seeing if he was just a boy, Rambo let him go. But instead of thanking the boy reporting Rambo's location to the police, as a result, the police now know Rambo's position, and they shoot at Rambo brutally. With makeshift bullets, Rambo provides a battle that makes the police frightened. At that moment, Will contacted his subordinates and said not to kill Rambo because he wanted to make Rambo suffer in prison. Not listening to Will's orders, they instead fired a bazooka at the mine until it was destroyed. Thinking that Rambo was dead, they were very happy and immediately took pictures to capture the moment. Not long after, Will and Troutman arrived at the location. Seeing that his men did not listen to orders not to kill Rambo, Will scolded them all. After that, Will met Troutman and bragged about Rambo, who had died at the hands of his men. However, Troutman, who knew very well who Rambo was, didn't really believe it.
He killed a police officer, for Christ's sake!
And sure enough, Rambo survived and immediately made a torch to find a way out of the mine. After a long walk through the mine, Rambo finally found a way out. Once outside, Rambo crept silently and jumped onto a car carrying an M60 gun. Quickly, Rambo dropped the driver off and took off towards Will's office for revenge. Hearing that Rambo is still alive, Lester immediately informs Will. Back to Rambo, who has been spotted and chased by one of the police cars. Because Rambo continues to be shot at, finally, Rambo crashes into a police car, causing the car to explode. Long story short, Rambo has arrived at the village road. At the end of the bridge, it turns out that Rambo has been blocked by many state police, but Rambo brutally continues to drive his car through anything that gets in the way. After nightfall, Rambo has now reached the village of the sheriff's office area. With his anger, Rambo smashed and blew up the gas station there. As a result, the gas station explodes, and the office and all the cars nearby are destroyed, causing Will to panic. Quickly, Will prepares his weapons to fight Rambo. However, before that, Troutman meets Will again. Troutman tells Will to get out of there, knowing that Will is not Rambo's worthy opponent. However, with his prestige, Will again refused, and still wanted to fight Rambo alone. Meanwhile, Will's subordinates are busy putting out the fire, allowing Rambo to go to Will's office. Will climbs onto the roof to watch Rambo's movements from there. Rambo, who had arrived, immediately destroyed the electricity substation, making the village pitch black. This allowed Rambo to move more freely to find Will's whereabouts. To find Will's hideout, Rambo enters a gun shop. There, Rambo collects gunpowder to detonate. After finishing, Rambo immediately hid while staking out Will's office. Sure enough, when the shop exploded, Will suddenly appeared. Seeing that, Rambo managed to find him. Blindly, Rambo opened fire on Will's office until it was destroyed. Seeing this, Will was very scared. Then, Rambo entered secretly to ambush Will. Seeing Will ready to shoot him, Rambo quickly ran while shooting Will in the leg. When Rambo is about to kill Will, the colonel tells Rambo not to do it, considering that this place is surrounded by 200 state police forces. This did not make Rambo flinch, and he was prepared to battle. Seeing Rambo, who was very stubborn, the colonel scolded him because Rambo would die in vain. With emotion, Rambo spoke his mind about the civilians who did not appreciate the soldiers' services. Instead of getting respect, he was treated badly and abused. Seeing that, the colonel finally understood that Rambo was currently very traumatized due to the loss of all his comrades in arms in Vietnam. While crying, Rambo hugged the colonel because he was the only person he trusted in this world. After Rambo calmed down, he surrendered himself, accompanied by the colonel, and the film is over.